Let me bury the matter here and now. No starship captain has ever stood trial before, and I don't want you to be the first.
But if what you suspect is true, then I'm guilty. I should be punished.
I'm thinking of this service. I won't have it smeared.
By what, Commodore Stone?
Alright, let's learn how to film a scene from Star Trek. Not even an entire scene, just part of one. And it's a good one. The part we're looking at starts when Commodore Stone says,
Stop recording.
and ends with some intense conflict.
The whole disciplinary weight of Starfleet Command is going to light right on your neck.
So that's the way we do it now. Sweep it under the rug, and me along with it. Not in your life. I intend to fight.
Then you draw a general court.
Draw it, I demand it. And right now, Commodore Stone, right now.
Yeah, it's good. This is Season 1, Episode 20, Court Martial, by the way. So let's talk about camera angles, set design, and narrative. Let's just do a bit of a plot summary so that there's context for what we're about to talk about. Basically, a computer transcript on the Enterprise suggests that Kirk has made a mistake that resulted in the death of a crew member, and he has been accused of perjury and culpable negligence, so Commodore Stone, his superior, suggests he take a permanent ground assignment to avoid the courts and potentially a court-martial if he is found guilty. But Kirk, knowing that he's innocent, decides to take it to court anyways. And that's about it, so let's get into it. There are 6 different camera angles in this scene, and here is a little timeline of their uses over the minute and 30 seconds. It starts with a shot like this, then we've got a bit of motion, a nice tracking shot, then we get this, then this, and then back and forth, and back and forth, and back and forth. Pretty much switches every time a character speaks. Then this angle changes slightly as he stands up, then we've got a close-up on Kirk, then a close-up on Stone. And that's that. Easy. To be honest, all the switches happening each time one of them speaks is a little much. It feels pretty abrupt, but that's what I love about this. It's Star Trek. It's so well known. It's enjoyable. And the editing and cinematography are not perfect. And I'm taking that to mean that something can work really well and get produced if the writing is strong enough and the characters are engaging, even if the other factors aren't fully leveled up yet. Alright, let's talk about set design. We spend enough time on camera angles, right? There's 6 of them, and this is how often they happen, and that's pretty much all you need to know. Okay, set design. There's a cool purple skyline going on, a spaceship passes by at one point, we've got a desk, it's got some stuff on it, there's a yellow door, we've got some walls, there's a plant thing, and notice how in these close-ups of Kirk, he's looking up quite a bit to meet Stone's eyes, even though Stone is not actually that much taller than him. And couple that with the classic camera looking down on Kirk and looking up at Stone maneuver, we've got this feeling that Commodore Stone is a very dominant and intimidating figure. And yet Kirk still stands up to him, unafraid, which makes us like Kirk even more. He's competent, he's brave, and definitely not a pushover. We've all imagined ourselves being Kirk here, standing up for what's right, being fearless in the face of a superior, and Kirk does it. He shows us that we can stand up for ourselves. So right away, most people watching this aren't going to care if the edit is cutting back and forth between camera angles too much. They're here for the characters, the narrative. From a writing perspective, this scene is amazing. Conflict is a big part of story, and there's plenty to work with here. Let's start with Commodore Stone. What does he want? He doesn't want the good name of Starship Captain to be smeared by Kirk's supposed crime, and so wishes to give him a permanent ground assignment rather than have him go to trial. Kirk obviously does not want a ground assignment, and knowing he is innocent, believes a fair trial should prove that, and even if it doesn't, he will still have his pride. So yeah, they have opposite desires. Big surprise, Kirk wants a trial, Stone doesn't. But it's in how these desires are presented that makes the conflict between these two so poignant. And it all comes down to the convictions of these characters, their deepest beliefs. Stone is not completely convinced that Kirk is guilty, but he's pretty sure. And yet, he doesn't want to see Kirk court-martialed. For one, because he doesn't want the name of the service tarnished, and 2, because he respects Kirk and sympathizes with the weight of responsibility he bears as a captain. And it makes sense to Stone that someone as highly decorated as Kirk might be in denial of such a mistake, or afraid that it'll cost him his hard-earned position. And here's the kicker. Stone is trying to do Kirk a favor. He's trying to do a nice thing because he respects Kirk. He's not the villain here. He is an ally who simply doesn't know Kirk well enough to know he's telling the truth, like Spock and McCoy do. But from Kirk's perspective, Stone isn't doing him any kindness. Accepting the ground assignment would be a total loss because he hasn't done what he's been accused of. So the only option is to fight for his innocence in court. And because it's his integrity and honesty that are being brought into question, it makes sense that Kirk would be insulted and infuriated at Stone's attempt to sweep things under the rug and lie on the report, essentially committing the very perjury that Kirk is being accused of. So like I said, there's a lot of conflict here, because the core beliefs of the characters and their subsequent intentions change depending on the angle you look at them from. And I don't think there's some formula to creating this type of conflict. I think it's more about knowing your characters, being savvy to their deepest beliefs and desires, and then just letting it play out on the paper. And part of it is intuition as well. Imagine if this scene had less conflict. If Stone said, "Kirk, I think you're guilty. I'm not gonna sweep this under the rug. You're going to trial." What's Kirk gonna say, right? Other than, "Yep, that was the plan." So not a lot going on for that scene. But intuitively, we might think, okay, what if Stone doesn't want Kirk to go to trial? And there, we have more conflict, and the clever moment of irony in Stone's intentions might just arise naturally. And that's the scene. It's simple, and yet it's also really clever, and ultimately stands out because this quote is so awesome.
Then you draw a general court.
Draw it. I demand it. And right now, Commodore Stone, right now.